Time to talk Gators here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We would ask that you smash the like button and, of course, subscribe. Hit that bell for the notifications. That way you know when we're going live. Alabama's the national champion. No big surprise there. It's 6 in 12 years for Nick Saban with the Tide. And, of course, the Gators gave them their closest call this year at 52-46. We got David Waters on the line from Gators Breakdown. David, I'm going to bring up that SEC championship game because when it's all said and done, maybe you can take a little pride, or Gator Nation, in regards to taking Alabama to the wire to a certain extent, at least much closer than anybody else.
Probably more frustration, Mark, because that's how good you could see Florida. You know, when Florida played their best, they could play with anybody. And we saw that, at times this year when they went out there and they had their full repertoire of guys and they went out there and played their best. They were blowing people out. The offense was in sync. You know, they could make up for a bad defense, and that's kind of what you got versus that Alabama game. But we can't forget, just the week before, they lost to a bad LSU team there. So, I did see a lot of Gator fans kind of saying that the last as soon as the national championship game went final, I was like, yeah, Florida played Alabama tough, and that was that was indicative of where this program is. No, it's not. The week before, you lost to LSU. Earlier in the season, you lost to Texas A&M, games that you should have won. And 2020 was a window that Florida needed to strike in. And, you can see. I think I labeled the episode right after the SEC championship game. I labeled the title of the Gators Breakdown episode then was, that game showed you just how close Florida is, but far away at the same time. So it's just this, you can take some solace in it just because, okay, you got to go. If you can play your best every game, that can be the Florida you can see under Dan Mullen. You just didn't get that on a consistent basis.
The Florida that Mark Schlabach of ESPN sees for 2021 is not quite up to the standard that Dan Mullen's approach for the last 2 years. Obviously, Dan Mullen took over a team that won 4 games and lifted it step by step by step for those 3 seasons, and winning 10, then 11, going to an Orange Bowl and winning that game, and then this past season getting to an SEC championship game with a win against Georgia. But number 16, according to Schlabach, and I know once ESPN releases its metric, and that will come out later, it's very central to quarterbacks coming back, coaches coming back, and just looking at personnel led by those 2 positions in particular. Schlabach, not necessarily know what he's going by, but your thoughts about the Gators at number 16, at least according to him.
There's a lot of questions about this Gator team, Mark. So I don't really have a problem with it. There's so many questions with this Gator team, especially how they ended the season. Of course, as I said, the inexcusable loss to LSU. Yeah, you fought hard versus Alabama. You still lost that game. And take of it what you will from the Cotton Bowl. If that wasn't the same Florida team, but not discredit Oklahoma. If Florida was at full strength, that was going to be a tough game anyway. So not to take away anything from Oklahoma there. That late season fall is what a lot of people are going to remember about Florida. And then you lose Kyle Trask, and then you lose Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, Trevon Grimes. You still kind of waiting to see what you're going to have at offensive line a bit, but you are going to lose your 2 best ones. Brett Hagee and Stone Forsythe have already pretty much made it known they're going to the NFL. That was your 2 best offensive linemen last year. They're gone there, and that wasn't a very strong group at offensive line. So Florida's going to have some retool some offensive line, and you're going to have a shift in offense. You're going to go from this sling it all over the field to a more controlled run game with Emory Jones. Not to say he can't throw the ball, but, I think the strength is going to be what we've more known a Dan Mullen offense to be before he found Kyle Trask. So, a shift in offense, we'll have to see how that affects Florida. And then nobody's going to forget the historic bad defense that we saw from Florida this year. And so that with that question remaining, the offense is going to take some sort of step back. You have to. I mean, that's how good this offense was. Just to sit here and say, okay, oh no, they'll be fine at offense. Well, you're doing a disservice to the offense that we just saw this season. So no, they're going to take a step back on offense, and if you don't, the defense won't be that bad. Don't get me. There'll be a reversal to the means there. The defense will get better, but how much better? I think is still the question there. So everything that we saw this past year on defense of not being able to get lined up all the way from game 1 to game 12, what are you going to do to fix it? What are you going to do to fix the simple things? If Florida can just fix the simple things on defense, you'll see improvement. So that's where the improvement will be. But you still got to get better play. You still got to go tackle better. You still got to go prepare better. And I think that's the question there. Is there a belief that Todd Grantham can fix this defense? So look, Dan Mullen's the head coach. The floor for a Dan Mullen team at Florida, 8 wins probably, but Florida's got 3 tough games next year. They draw Alabama out of the West. They got to go to Baton Rouge. They got Georgia as well. That's 3 games right there. Picking it right now, Florida's going to be underdogs in all 3 of those games. LSU, you would be favored at home, but that game being in Baton Rouge right now, I'm sure you go to Vegas, LSU's probably favored in that game. So they're, you're looking at 9-3 just right there if you lose those games there. So that puts you probably around 12, 15, 16 range. So I think if you take schedule into account, all the questions that surround Florida, I think, around top 15 is probably where you're going to find this Florida team in a lot of these way too early rankings. And I can't say I really disagree with it.